What was not included in the Declaration of Independence? A. Grievances or reasons for breaking up with Britain. B. The right to abolish a government that disregards our unalienable rights. C. Rights for women and slaves. Or D. Colonies are now free and independent states.
Well, we often in high school study the Declaration of Independence as a historical document, and so this isn't just a history question. It's in your American Lit textbook probably, and unfortunately I would love to say all of those things are covered, and if Thomas Jefferson had his way, they would have been, but he got edited and was forced to revise, and so unfortunately it does leave out giving rights to women, and not just slaves, but anyone that was not a white land-owning man. Now, I will say that one of the most famous lines in the Declaration could be interpreted to include these people. It says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." A modern translation would say, this includes all people. Back then, we would say men, meaning, humankind. However, they just meant white land-owning men. And so, and I have to add that caveat of landowners, because you really didn't have a voice unless you owned property. And unfortunately, back at this time, property could be people that you owned, including your wife and kids. And so Thomas Jefferson did have a rough draft. He did have a first draft where he did talk about slavery because it made sense. He's talking about how King George is basically treating American settlers as slaves, that King George created and sustained the slave trade, and that this was a cruel war against human nature. So there is some of that language still in the document. There's allusions to the original version. But unfortunately, women still weren't seen as equal in the United States or given the right to vote until almost 200 years later, about 150 years later. And so it took a while for that. But they did get more rights as time went on. So those would be the two individuals, two groups of people that would have been left out of the Declaration of Independence. But I would still argue that a more modern translation, all people being created equal, includes all of us.